Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at this insane lick by Justin Derrico. If you guys aren't familiar, he's an absolutely insane guitar player. I believe he's like Pink's guitar player, and he's the guitar player for The Voice. Anyways, he's absolutely insane at the guitar. And I was scrolling through his Instagram maybe a few weeks ago, and I stumbled upon some solo. I don't know if he was improvising this solo or something. And he threw this lick out, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" So I screen recorded it, and I learned it and been practicing, trying to get it down for I can play it. But I wanted to share it with you guys today, and I really wanted to show this in a way that it's not just the lick. I wanted to show you how, if you're an intermediate player, you can start developing into this, or if you're already an advanced player, you can start getting into this. As well, because I don't want it just to be for the select few people that can play this right off the bat. So after I teach it note for note, like each part, I'll go through and show you how you can start off with a few different areas and kind of more simplified approaches for this so you can practice, develop the technique. I'm going to be honest, this is a pretty difficult lick, probably for anyone. And if you're an intermediate player, I don't want to just have you not try this. So I want to build up layers to practice and develop these techniques so you can perform this lick as well. And also, not just learn this lick, but learn the different concepts so you can be creative and kind of develop your own ideas with the different licks and patterns that are used in this lick. All right, let's get into it. So this one's going to be in B minor, pretty much pentatonic. There is a few zones where it steps out of pentatonic, but it's actually mainly B minor pentatonic. And he's really liking these 3-note per string skipping ideas. So it's mainly happening on the A string, the G string, and the high E in the key of B minor. And like I said, it's mainly focused around pentatonic. So let's jump into it. All right, so it's mainly happening around position 4 of the B minor pentatonic scale, which looks like this. Right, but it's also because it's 3-note per string, it's stretching out to position 5. And then the very end, we'll grab some notes from position 1, which is right here. So real quickly, if you're unfamiliar with those positions, I highly recommend, number one, you get the pentatonics down. But starting off, position 4 of B minor pentatonic is going to look like this. So it's going to be 14-17 on the low E and A string. Then on the D and G, will be 14-16. 15-17 on the B. 14-17 on the high E. Position 5 is 17-19 on the E and A. 16-19 on the D and G, and then 17-19 on the B and high E. Lastly, position 1, which we're not going to really play, it's kind of hard to get to anyways, is 19-22, and then for the next 3 strings, the A, D, and G is 19-21. So, and the last 2 strings is 19 and 22. There we go. So that's the kind of shapes this is hovering around. There's notes added from the minor scale, but also he's mainly focusing on the A string, the G string, and the high E. So part 1 is going to look like this. All right, so like I said, this is literally only the A string, the G string, and the high E. So we're going 14, 17, 19 on the A string. Go to the G string, we got 14, 16, 19. And then the high E is 14, 17, 19. If you would like to support me and this channel, go check out my Patreon. The link is in the description below. Over there, you'll find tons of great guitar lessons, all with tab, covering scales, licks, techniques, and much more. You also get early access to videos, and you can sign up for one-on-one lessons with me. Thank you guys so much for the support. Let's get back to the video. Then we're going to tap 22. Pull off to 19, pull up to 17, pull up to 14. Now, in context, I hammer on from nowhere the G string, so that's a good thing to practice, is trying to hammer on without picking. But for right now, you can pick it. So pick 19, pull off to 16, pull off to 14 on the G string. And then we can pick the 19 on the A, pull off to 17, pull off to 14. So far we have this. Then we're going to hammer on all the way back up, almost. We're gonna hammer on to it the same exact shape all the way up to the high E on the 17. So, and then we're gonna end up tapping 19. That's gonna go into part 2, but we're not gonna jump there yet. Right, so that's the note for note way Justin Derrico does it. And this is, you know, if you're an advanced player, go ahead and jump right into this. If you're not, let's go to the more basic level. The first thing I would recommend is obviously knowing this pentatonic shape. If you're unfamiliar with that, learn your 5 pentatonic shapes. Because we're right there in B minor pentatonic position 4, but we're only on the A, G, and high E. So I'd recommend just isolating, because that stretch gets awkward at first. That's more of an advanced kind of technique. So starting off, I might recommend you just go. So cut that third note out of each string. So we're just going to have 14, 17, 14, 16, and then 14, 17 on the high E. And you can just pick the first note, hammer on up, and then on the way down you pick and pull off. So it looks like this. Right. Once you get that, you can experiment with throwing the tap in on the 22nd fret. Right, and if you really want to, there's nothing holding you back from just walking up the whole entire pentatonic position. So you could go. Just for fun, right? Anybody can do that. If you're more of a beginner intermediate player and you want to be able to start playing licks like this, that's some ways I would start off. But once you get good at that, I would start practicing just doing the 3-note string shapes of going. Right, and leave the tap out for now. Don't worry about it. And if you need to pick more than 1 note per string, go ahead and do that. Overall, in the future, we want to build up the left hand so we can hammer on everything from nowhere. Not that we necessarily have to, but it's just good to have a nice, strong left hand. But right now, you can pick as many notes as you need. But just start off by practicing the 3-note string shape up and down without the tap. And then once that feels comfortable, throw the tap in, and then we can just isolate that up and down as a little pattern with the tap. So we go. Right, once that starts feeling good, we can jump into part 2. So remember, the actual way that it's going to be in the context of this lick is going to look like this. Right, and that's going to flow us into part 2, which is going to look like this. Right, so let's go through that, and then we'll talk about some ways to practice to get to being able to play this in context. So we're flowing up 14, 17, we tap 19, we just pull off all the way back down. And then what we're going to do is, this is a hammer on from nowhere. A lot of this is middle finger, 15th fret B string. Followed by another tap on the 19th fret. Pull off back to 15, and then pull off 14. And now we're going to go to the G string with a similar pattern, but we're following the same sequence, but we're following the scale shape of B minor pentatonic. So, sorry, B minor pentatonic at times. So that right there, we just did. Now we're gonna go to the G string 16, hammer on from nowhere, tap 19, pull off 16, pull off 14. Then we're going to hammer on from there, stay on the G string, 16, 19, and then tap 21. Pull off all those notes. So far. And the end off, that's the last tap of this part, and we're gonna go. So that was D string 16, then A string 19 with the pinky, pull off to 17, pull off to 14, and then slide to 17. So part 2, slowly. Now, if you're not ready to play that, here's some ways to start off practicing. I would isolate 2-string groupings of this particular tapping pattern. So I might take the top 2 strings and just go. And then I'll go to the next 2 strings, the B and the G. Try to put those three together. Right? If tapping is too much for you right now, you might even just want to do it in the left hand. You might go like this. Remember, we're not picking anything with this hand. But it's a great way to get the shape muscle memorized before adding the tap in. And this works as a cool lick on its own. All right, throw the tap in. Now we can throw in that extra G string maneuver where he goes. So you might want to just practice the G string by itself. You go. Once that feels comfortable, throw it in with the other shape so far. So go. Right? And if you're not ready for the tap yet, you can just go like this. There's nothing wrong with that. You can take that and just play that by itself without tapping, and it's pretty awesome. Now, once you got this going, finish it off by going. Remember that was... Now, you can make this a little bit easier by not... You can either do 2 things. You can either just descend the pentatonic like this. Right? And that was just a pentatonic shape there. So that's just 16, 14, 17, 14. So that kind of makes it easier. Or if you're ready to follow the sequence the way Justin Derrico does it, you can go 16 on the D, and then 19 on the A, pull off 17, pull off 14. So... And then don't forget that slide up to 17. Right? So don't tell yourself when you have to learn this lick, that you have to play it just like this, and this is the only way of playing it. You can go in, you can simplify the parts, and totally get tons out of it. Actually, in my opinion, you get way more out of it. You can be like, oh, what's this lick look like if I don't do 3-note string pentatonic and I just do normal pentatonic? What does it look like if I don't tap? All that's totally okay. We don't have to play everything note for note like everybody does. It's good to set a goal and practice that way for we can know and we have a clear roadmap and direction and landmark that we want to hit. But there's so much we can take out of the process by even just simplifying it into these 3 steps that will help us in our playing, help us in our creativity, and it will really open up the guitar in different ways. Instead of learning 1 lick, we're learning like 15, 20 different licks. And it's super, super cool. And even if you're not an advanced player yet, jump into this lick, try these different ways of getting into it. And, over the next 3-6 months, you'll be able to do this lick by just simplifying it and slowly working towards it. All right, so everything so far, step 1 and 2. Now the end off, we're going to do this very simple. Well, simple compared to what we've been doing. So that's pretty much all pentatonic except for the 21st fret on the high E. That goes into the minor scale. But it's pretty much, again, 3rd note string pentatonic on the A, G, and high E using string skipping. So we slid up to 17 in the last part. All we got to do is 17, 19, 21 on the A string. Go to the G string, 16, 19, 21. Go to the high E, and that's going to be 17, 19, 21. Tap 22. Pull off back to 21, and then do a half step in. So that last part, part 3 there is. And there's not really a more intermediate or kind of beginner advanced way of doing this other than just removing a note per string. So you might do something like this. Another way it's not exactly note for note, but it totally works, is if you just walk up position 5 of B minor pentatonic. Instead of doing the 3-note per string, you do 2-note per string. Maybe throw a slide in there. Right? It's not note for note what Justin Derrico did, but it's totally okay for you to do that. And if it makes it easier and gets you in the door of doing these more complicated licks, then it's totally okay. And even in the future, when you can do this lick, there's many applications where this would make more sense to do anyways. So that's one kind of more basic way to do that last part. But the last part is like this. Right. Now, in everything combined, all right, I hope this helped you guys out a lot. Down below, if there's anybody else and other kind of style licks that you want to learn from anybody, please let me know, and I will check out the video or the artist and try to gather something and teach it in either 3 steps or 3 levels. This lick in particular, I just did it kind of more in 3 steps. How to go from more of an intermediate player and take the sections of this lick and put them all together and slowly develop the technique and the speed. Obviously, if you're already ready and able to jump into this lick full on, just jump into the lick full on, but it's still great to learn these other ways of doing it, ways of simplifying it, and also just adding a little bit of curiosity and creativity in there to not just learn one lick, but bring out the different components so you can have your own little interpretation of this. And so, you know, in different contexts of solos and improvising, you can choose which one you'd prefer. You don't always be stuck to just doing this one way, even though it's a great goal, landmark, it's fun, it's something to work towards very clearly. It's still also cool to put your own kind of influence, your own creativity, and don't look at it as something, oh, I can't do that, that's unachievable, I'm just going to avoid it. Jump into it and be like, you know, maybe I'm not ready for this right now, but how can I still kind of ease my way into it, but still simplify it enough where I can still practice it every day and develop the techniques needed to perform this lick. And so by doing that, I hope you saw in the 3 different steps how we kind of simplified it for the more intermediate or advanced players so that you can still take tons of information from this lick and not just be like, oh my gosh, I can't do that, I'll never be able to do that, I'm not even gonna try. It's something I want to do better with in the future. I've done a lot of crazy licks lessons in the past, and I feel like I've just taught the lick, and I didn't teach ways of how to develop over time, over the months, to get to doing these licks. You know, if you're a player that was already able to do that, then it's probably cool and helpful. But if you're not yet, it would probably just be over your head and just kind of depressing in a way. Or maybe it was inspiring, I'm not sure. But I really want to do a better job going forward of taking these really, really cool, fun licks from these insane players, but bringing them down and then showing you exactly how they play it, but also bringing it down simple enough to, if you're new to this stuff, you can start developing practice routines and different patterns to help build you to being able to play these more advanced shred licks. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you back next time.